I still remember the exact way the morning light spilled through the blinds the day everything shifted. There was nothing special about it. That's what haunts me the most. I was sitting in the kitchen, coffee in hand, scrolling through work emails like I did every Tuesday. My wife, Emily, was standing near the sink, quiet. She'd made toast, not for me, just for herself. A small thing, but it said enough. We hadn't spoken much the night before. I figured we were just in one of those ruts married people go through. Then she turned around, slow and sure, and said it. I filed for divorce this morning. She didn't even flinch. At first, I thought she was joking. I even laughed. But when she didn't laugh back, my stomach tightened. My hand trembled a little as I set the mug down. Wait, what? I filed for divorce. I emailed you the papers. She said it like she was canceling a dentist appointment. Flat. Cold. Final. I try to make sense of it. Where it came from, what I missed. We hadn't been perfect, but divorce? That wasn't even on the radar. I asked her why. She said she'd fallen out of love. Said she needed space. Said we had grown apart. All the phrases that sound like they belong in a bad movie. But something about her eyes felt rehearsed. The thing about heartbreak is that it doesn't announce itself with thunder. It seeps in, quietly. It's in the way your name doesn't show up on their phone screen anymore. It's in the way they stop meeting your gaze when you talk. I didn't fight her. Not at first. I just nodded, packed an overnight bag, went to my brother Darren's house, and tried to breathe. That night, I lay awake on a couch that smelled like old beer and missed laundry. I kept thinking about how Emily didn't cry. I didn't either. Maybe I was in shock. Then, something made me open her email. She hadn't just filed for divorce. She'd already hired a lawyer, and she'd move a large chunk of money out of our joint account 2 weeks ago. She had planned this. That's when the nausea kicked in. Over the next few days, pieces started falling into place. Our neighbor Cheryl, the one who walks her dog every morning at 7 a.m., saw Emily having lunch at La Marina's, an upscale place we'd only go to for anniversaries. Cheryl said Emily wasn't alone. She was with a man. Tall. Beard. Suit. Emily never mentioned a meeting. I checked her joint credit card. No charges from La Marina's. She must have paid in cash. I started doubting everything. Every work trip she took in the last 6 months. Every late-night text she dismissed with just Michelle. Every time she'd showered right after coming home. It was like I'd been living in a carefully constructed lie, and I was too in love to see it. I didn't confront her right away. I watched, quietly. I came back home after 2 weeks on a Sunday afternoon. Emily acted surprised, but didn't argue. Said she needed a few things from the house, that she'd only be there for a bit. She didn't say she missed me. She didn't ask how I was. She did, however, look nervous when I told her I was thinking of getting my own lawyer. That's when the begging started. Jake, she said, her voice shaky, can we just talk? Before we make this ugly. Now you want to talk? I asked, not raising my voice. You didn't want to talk when you filed. She sat down, clutching a mug she didn't drink from. There are things you don't know. I laughed. I'm sure. But here's the thing, Emily, I didn't think I needed to know everything. I thought I just had to trust you. Her eyes filled with tears. Not crocodile ones. Real ones. But it didn't change the facts. I still didn't know who the man at La Marina's was. I still didn't know why money was missing. I still didn't know what had really broken us. She left that day without saying goodbye. I stared at the door for a long time after it shut. A week later, I received an anonymous message on Facebook. Check the burner phone in her glove compartment. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize the sender. The account disappeared 5 minutes later. I didn't want to believe it, but my hands were already grabbing my keys. Emily's car was parked outside her friend Sarah's house. She was supposedly staying there until the divorce finalized. I waited until after dark. When she was out, I opened the passenger door. The glove compartment clicked open like it had nothing to hide. But it did. There it was. A small, black phone. No passcode. The messages were all still there. Can't stop thinking about last weekend. You're amazing. Let me know when he's out of the house again. We'll be free soon. Just a few more weeks. There were dozens of them. All from a contact saved as David W. I knew that name. David Winters. My old college roommate. The best man at our wedding. I couldn't feel my body for a second. The nausea came back, heavier. I scrolled up, searching for clarity. There was none. Only confirmation. Pictures, hotel bookings, jokes about me, whispers about money, about how he'll never see it coming. My heart was beating so loud I could hear it echo in my ears. They planned this. Together. The man who toasted our marriage and the woman I gave my life to. I didn't cry that night. I didn't scream. I took the burner phone. I backed it up. I made copies of everything. And then I waited. Waited for her to come to me. Because if she wanted to talk, I had a few questions of my own. Her lies, my silence. It had been 4 days since I found the burner phone in Emily's glove compartment. For days since the truth stopped being questioned. I didn't call her. I didn't confront her. I wanted her to feel safe. Safe enough to lie again. I needed to see what betrayal looked like up close, with the full knowledge of it living in my back pocket. So I invited her over. She arrived that Sunday, wearing the same perfume I used to compliment. Said she just wanted to talk. Said she felt guilty. Said she was confused. It was like watching a rerun of a show I already knew the ending to. I sat across from her on the couch, the burner phone hidden in the drawer next to me. "Jake," she said, "I don't want this to get ugly." My stomach clenched. "Emily, you filed for divorce." "I didn't." She looked down. "I know." I panicked. I thought it was what I wanted. Thought, or was told. Her head snapped up. "What?" I leaned in, folding my hands. "Did someone convince you this was the right move?" She paused. "No, it was my decision." There was again that flicker in her eyes. The kind of flicker that said there was more underneath. But she didn't know I already had the whole script. Later that night, I watched her from the hallway as she stood in our bedroom. She looked at our wedding photo on the dresser, the one where David was standing right behind me, smiling. I wonder now if he was already thinking about her back then. She didn't cry. She just stared, like she was trying to remember what it used to feel like to love me. The next morning, she sent me a text. "Jake, can we try counseling? I haven't submitted the final divorce paperwork yet. I think I made a mistake." I stared at the screen for a long time. How do you respond to a ghost asking to come back to life? That same day, I did something I never thought I'd do. I visited David's office. He worked in a law firm downtown. Finance law, sleek and polished, just like him. I waited in the lobby like a stranger, then asked the receptionist if he was in. She smiled. "Mr. Winters is in a meeting, but I can let him know." "No," I said. "Don't bother." I left a manila envelope at the desk. Inside it, printed copies of the texts, the pictures, the booking confirmations, a sticky note that said, "From a man who used to call you a brother." And I walked out. That night, Emily showed up at the house again. She looked different, panicked. "Jake," she said breathlessly, "David's not answering my calls." I said nothing. Her voice cracked. "Did you do something?" I raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" "I don't know," she stammered. "He's acting weird. His number is disconnected. His assistant said he took a leave of absence." I shrugged. "Maybe he needs space. You know, like you did." She looked like she was about to collapse. "Jake, please. Don't play games. If you did something, I need to know." That's when I stood up and walked to the drawer. I pulled out the burner phone. Her face turned white. Dead white. "You lied to me, Emily," I said, my voice calm. "For months." She shook her head, tears already spilling. "It wasn't what you think." "No." I tossed the phone onto the coffee table. "Because I think it's exactly what it looks like. I didn't mean for it to go that far. But it did. And you planned it. With him. You filed for divorce after the affair. You moved our money. You gaslit me. And now you're standing here, acting like I'm the one playing games." "I didn't want to lose everything," she cried. "He said he loved me. I thought you'd move on. I thought it would be cleaner." "Cleaner?" I barked. "You destroyed our marriage behind my back. And you want to call it clean?" She broke down, fell to the floor, sobbing, begging. "I was lonely, Jake. I thought you didn't care anymore. I made the worst mistake of my life." I stood over her, unsure what part of me was still intact. I didn't feel powerful. I didn't feel victorious. I felt hollow, but I wasn't done. The next day, I visited a friend, Olivia. She's a private investigator I used to work with on a case years ago. She owed me a favor. I handed her the burner phone. "Can you find out how long this has been going on? And if there's anyone else?" She nodded. 2 days later, she called me. "Jake, I think you need to come see this. Emily didn't just cheat with David. There was another name. Trevor Miles. She met him during a conference trip 2 years ago in Seattle. Same pattern, late-night texts, fake meetings, money spent in cash. Trevor was no longer in her life, but the betrayal wasn't new. It was a pattern, a history, a secret I never asked for, but one that was rotting our foundation long before David ever showed up. That night, I confronted her again. Her face when I said Trevor's name, that was the moment I saw who she really was. She sank to the floor. No, Jake, please, that was before. I stopped. I swore to myself it wouldn't happen again. But it did, I said. You filed for divorce because David convinced you to. But the cracks started way before him, didn't they? She nodded slowly. I didn't know how to come back to you. You didn't try. She looked up at me, tears falling again. I don't deserve your forgiveness, she whispered. I agreed. She didn't. But then she said something that stopped me cold. There's something else you need to know about the money. I froze. What about it? Her lips quivered. David wasn't just a fling. He promised to invest the money in a fund. He said it would double. I didn't think. My blood went cold. You gave him our money? She nodded. And now he's disappeared. The disappearing act. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our marriage in reverse. Like maybe if I traced the steps back far enough, I'd find the exact place where she stopped loving me and started lying. But this wasn't just emotional betrayal anymore. It was financial. It was calculated. It was stupid. Emily didn't just cheat. She trusted the man. She cheated with more than her own husband. And now he was gone. The next morning, I made calls. To David's office, his assistant, his brother, who I hadn't spoken to in years. All of them gave me the same answer. David left town. No forwarding address. I even tried his old college friend who used to crash on our couch. Nothing. Ghosted. It was like he vanished the moment I dropped that envelope on his desk. Coward. Or maybe he knew what was coming. Emily, meanwhile, was unraveling. She came by every other day. Uninvited. Unannounced. Her eyes were swollen. Makeup smeared. No more lipstick, no more heels. Just guilt. Raw and naked. I didn't throw her out, but I didn't welcome her either. She'd sit on the edge of the couch, twisting tissues in her hands. I don't know how I believed him, she said one afternoon. He made me feel seen. He said you didn't appreciate me, and I was stupid enough to let that be enough. I didn't answer. You always work so hard, Jake, she whispered. I told myself you were ignoring me. But really, you were building a future. She looked up, and I set fire to it. I started digging. Not out of revenge. Out of necessity. That money, a large sum, was supposed to go toward the down payment on his second property. A home we could raise a family in once we stopped arguing about when. Emily transferred it to an account David controlled. She had the bank records. I took them to Olivia. She traced the transfer from our joint account to a shared investment account, then gone. Liquidated. Emptied into an offshore entity 2 weeks before Emily filed for divorce. It was a con, a romance, a betrayal, a theft, wrapped in the illusion of love. I remember standing in Olivia's office, holding the file she gave me, thinking, this can't be my life. This can't be my story. But it was. When I returned home, Emily was in the kitchen. She turned, startled. I didn't think you'd be back so soon. I held the file out. That's everything. She didn't take it. Her hands were trembling. Did he ever mention a plan? About leaving? I asked. She shook her head. No. He said we'd go public after the divorce. Did you believe him? She blinked. At the time? Yes. Now? I don't even know who he was. I sighed. She looked at me quietly. Jake, I'm so sorry. I know that doesn't mean much, but I need you to believe that. I didn't respond. What was there to say? That night, I got another message. This time, not from a burner. Not from Facebook. It was a letter. No return address. Just my name. Typed. Sealed. Inside a note. You've always been the better man. I never meant to hurt you. Not like this. Walk away from it, Jake. There's nothing left. D. There was also a cashier's check. For $50,000. Less than half of what he took. But still something. Blood money. I showed it to Emily. She sat down, stunned. He sent that to you? I nodded. Do you think he regrets it? She whispered. Regret? I said coldly. Is easy when you've already won. She wiped her eyes. What are you going to do? I looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't the woman I married anymore. But then again, maybe she never was. Over the next week, I met with my lawyer. We prepared to push forward with the divorce. I needed distance, closure, air. But every time I reached for the papers, something stopped me. The way she looked at me when I walked into a room. The way her hands shook when she apologized. The way she cried in the backyard when she thought I wasn't watching. One evening, I walked into the guest room where she was staying. She looked up from her journal, startled. "Can I ask you something?" I said. She nodded, slowly. "Did you ever love me?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said something I'll never forget. "I loved you so much I forgot how to love myself. And by the time I tried to remember, I was already gone." I felt my chest tighten. I don't know if that made it better or worse. The next day, I met with Olivia one last time. She handed me a small black envelope. "What's this?" I asked. "Insurance," she said. "David made a mistake. He left a trail. If you want to press charges, identity fraud, financial manipulation, you have enough. It won't get you the money back, but it'll bury him." I held the envelope. Heavy, torn. Then I asked her, "If you were me, would you do it?" She paused, then said, "Depends on whether you want justice or peace." I drove home in silence. When I pulled into the driveway, Emily was sitting on the porch. She stood when she saw me, eyes red, face pale. "I'll leave if you want me to," she said. "I won't fight it." I walked past her, opened the front door, stopped, turned, and said, "You don't get to leave this time." The walls between us. Letting her stay wasn't forgiveness. It was unfinished business. She wanted to rebuild. I wasn't sure I even wanted to breathe near her some days. But I needed the silence between us to speak louder than the lies ever did. I told her, no more secrets. I told myself, just keep watching. We moved around each other like strangers. The kind that remember each other's birthdays, but not what those days ever meant. I made coffee. She did laundry. We shared a house, not a home. Sometimes I'd catch her crying in the kitchen. Other times, just staring like she was trying to see the ghost of our old life between the walls. But I didn't give her comfort. Not yet. I started therapy. Alone. First session, I didn't say much. Second session, I finally cracked. "I don't know who I'm angrier at," I told the therapist, her or myself. He nodded, quiet. She wasn't just unfaithful. She made a fool of me, and I let her do it. There was the shame. The part no one talks about. Not just the pain of betrayal, but the humiliation of it. Loving someone who used your trust as leverage. Meanwhile, Olivia kept sending me updates. David was hiding in Colorado. Changed his name. Working under-the-table jobs in Aspen. "He's laying low," she said. Scared. Good. But not enough. Emily started cooking again. Small things. Familiar dishes. The kind we used to share when we were broke and dreaming. She never asked me to sit. But the food would be there. Still warm. Waiting. One night I did sit. Ate half in silence. She looked over. "Jake, I don't know how to earn back your trust. I don't even know if I can." I didn't speak. I just kept eating. Because I didn't know either. 3 weeks passed. She told me she got a job interview at a local clinic. Said she wanted to be independent. Start over. Not ask me for anything. That was the first time I saw a sliver of the woman I married again. Not the liar. The fighter. Then something unexpected happened. I got a call from David's brother. "Jake," he said, "we need to talk." He told me David was in trouble. Deep. The offshore account? Cleaned out. Not just mine. Multiple people's money gone. He messed with the wrong people, he said. There's a guy looking for him. Not legal. You know what I mean? I did. This wasn't just a con. This was a target on his back. And suddenly, the idea of justice didn't feel so far away anymore. That night, I told Emily everything. About the phone call, the threat, the money trail. She sat there, stunned. "So, someone might hurt him?" she whispered. I looked her in the eye. "Would you care if they did?" She didn't answer. Then she whispered, "I wouldn't stop it." That shook me. Not because I disagreed, but because part of me felt the same way. We were sitting across from each other the next morning when the doorbell rang. It was Olivia. She handed me a flash drive. Surveillance from the Aspen Hotel. 2 nights ago. He's there. Room 402. You've got 24 hours before he vanishes again. I looked at the drive, heart racing, and then I looked at Emily. She was pale. "Are you going?" I nodded. She stood, hands trembling. Jake, if you go, I need you to promise me something. What? That you won't let him take more from you than he already has. I booked a flight that afternoon. Didn't pack much. Just a bag, a jacket, and the folder Olivia gave me. The one with all the proof. The one I'd need if I decided to turn him in. I didn't tell Emily goodbye. She stood at the front door, watching me go like she'd seen this before, but this time knew she might never see me come back. I landed in Aspen just after midnight. The air was sharp, cold, honest. I checked into a motel, set my alarm. The next morning, I stood across the street from David's hotel, heart pounding like it hadn't in years. I wasn't sure what I was walking into. Closure? Justice? Revenge? Maybe all of it. Maybe none. I made it to the 4th floor. Room 402. I knocked. No answer. Knocked again. Footsteps. Then the door opened. And there he was. David. Beard trimmed. Eyes sunken. Older. Defeated. Jake, he breathed. And for a second, neither of us moved. Then he said something that flipped my world again. I was going to turn myself in. The face behind the lie. I was going to turn myself in. That's what he said. David stood in the doorway, looking nothing like the man who used to be my friend. Gone was the smug grin, the polished suit, the self-assured glint in his eyes. What remained was a husk. A man who had finally realized he'd pushed too far and burned the wrong bridge. I didn't speak. I just stepped inside. The room smelled like desperation. Stale beer, unwashed clothes, fast food wrappers on the table. The kind of room someone doesn't plan on staying in long. Sit, he said, motioning to a chair. Please. I stayed standing. You ran, I said, right after I dropped off that envelope. He nodded, rubbing his jaw. I panicked. I knew you'd found out. And there were others. You weren't the only one I hurt. I clenched my fists. You hurt her too. He looked up. I know. That silence between us was thick enough to suffocate. Then he spoke again. I didn't love her, Jake. I told myself I did, but I didn't. She was vulnerable, and I used that. There it was. The rot. Out loud. I should have hit him. But instead, I asked, and the money? Gone, he said. I tried to double it. Greedy, stupid. I lost control. And then the people I owed started making threats. He looked at me. I don't sleep anymore, man. Good, I thought. You shouldn't. He handed me a folder. Inside, receipts. Transfers. Names. Offshore companies. Bankrupt shell accounts. He was giving all up. I don't know if this helps, he said, but I don't want to run anymore. Why give it to me? I asked. Because you were the only person I ever admired, even when I was betraying you. He looked at me, eyes red. You didn't deserve this. None of it. I left without another word. Didn't punch him. Didn't scream. Just walked out into the cold. Because what he took from me, it wasn't just money. It was the way I used to see the world. And you can't return that. I flew home the next day. Quiet. Cold. Emily met me at the door. She looked at my face and didn't ask anything. Just stepped aside and let me in. She knew the air around me had changed, but she didn't know how much. 2 days later, I mailed the folder to the authorities. Anonymous. No note. Just evidence. If justice found him, so be it. But I wasn't going to be its executioner. Not anymore. And then, the past came knocking again. Emily received a letter. No stamp. No sender. Just one sentence, scribbled in messy handwriting. Trevor never forgot what you did. She dropped it when she finished reading. Pale. Shaking. I picked it up and read it for myself. Who's Trevor? I asked, though I already knew. She sat down slowly, breathing hard. He was the man from the conference. Before David. I narrowed my eyes. What did you do, Emily? I ended it, she said. He wanted more. I didn't. But he didn't take it well. I changed my number. Blocked him. Did he threaten you? She hesitated. Once. Then he disappeared. Now he was back. Or at least his ghost was. That night, she slept in the guest room again. I didn't lock my door. But I didn't open it, either. I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling. I didn't know who I was angrier at anymore. The men who took from us, or the woman who let them in. But one thing was clear. This wasn't over. Not yet. The next morning, I opened the front door and found an envelope taped to the porch railing. Inside, a photo. Emily and Trevor, holding hands. Date stamped. For weeks before our anniversary. I felt something in my chest twist. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was erosion. A long, slow decay of everything I believed we were. I walked into the house, envelope in hand. She was in the kitchen, pouring coffee. I dropped the photo on the counter. She froze. "What is this?" "You tell me." Her face fell. "I didn't know he had those. He must have followed me. You told me you ended it." "I did." "Then why does it look like you didn't?" She broke then. Not the fake kind. The real kind. Knees to the floor. Hands on her face. I don't know who I was back then, Jake. I hated myself. I thought if I controlled something, anything, it would stop the ache. But all it did was make it worse. Her voice was hoarse. I was drowning. And I used people like life rafts. I looked at her for a long time. Not as a husband. Not as a man hurt. But as a person, try to see if another person could be forgiven. Even when the damage was done. Even when the truth no longer fit into clean lines. Later that night, she knocked on my door. Didn't speak. Just held out a box. Inside, her wedding ring. And a note. "If you still want the divorce, I won't fight. But if you don't, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to earn the right to wear this again." Then she left. I didn't sleep. I sat in bed, holding the ring in my hand, remembering the vows, the laughter, the slow unraveling, the pain, and beneath it all, a single question. Could two broken people ever learn to love again? Ashes and light. The ring sat on my nightstand for 3 days. I didn't wear it, didn't throw it out, just stared at it like it might whisper the right answer if I looked long enough. I kept hearing her voice in my head. "If you still want the divorce, I won't fight." That was the first time she stopped trying to convince me. The first time she truly let go of control. And maybe the first time she really told the truth. I didn't make my decision until the morning it rained. The kind of rain that feels like a reset. I walked downstairs, barefoot, and found her in the kitchen again, like every day before. But this time, she didn't flinch when I came in. She just whispered, "Morning." I looked at her. No makeup, no mask, just the woman I married, weathered by consequence. I held up the ring and said quietly, "If I stay, it won't be for the past." Tears formed instantly in her eyes. She nodded, almost like she didn't believe it. "It'll be for what comes next," I added, "and only if we build it from nothing." She swallowed hard. "I'm ready to start from nothing." And somehow, I believed her. We didn't renew vows. No dramatic declarations. Just two broken people deciding not to quit. Day by day, we started over. I moved back in the master bedroom. She went to therapy. Alone at first. Then we tried together. It wasn't easy. Some nights we still slept back to back. But there were also nights where she'd reach out for my hand in the dark, and I'd let her hold it. Small things. But they mattered. A month later, the authorities caught up to David. Turns out I wasn't the only one who reported him. He was arrested in Arizona under a fake name. Fraud. Identity theft. Financial crime. I watched the mugshot on the news. His eyes were dead. Emily walked in and stood beside me. "I'll never stop being sorry," she whispered. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to, because sometimes the apology isn't in the words, it's in the staying. Weeks passed. Spring came. So did silence. The letter from Trevor never led anywhere. We got a restraining order. He disappeared again. Emily changed her number. Left her job. Started volunteering at a women's shelter instead. Said she wanted to give people the things she didn't ask for soon enough. Help. I respected that. One Sunday morning, I was fixing the back gate. She brought me lemonade. We sat on the steps, sun warming our legs like it was any other couple's lazy weekend. Then she asked, "Do you think we'll ever be okay?" I didn't answer right away. I looked around, at the backyard, the patched fence, the scarred soil where we once tried to plant flowers. And then I said, "I don't think we'll ever be what we were. But maybe that's a good thing." She nodded slowly, then leaned her head on my shoulder. 2 weeks later, the phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Jake Patterson?" the voice asked. "Yes. This is Officer Jenkins with the Denver Police. We found something in David Winter's storage unit during a search." My stomach clenched. "What did you find?" "A second burner phone. Looks like it belonged to your wife." Silence. "Sir, I think you should come in." When I got to the station, they show me the phone. Locked, but cracked open with software. Inside, photos, emails, one video. I asked to be alone to watch it. They left the room. I hit play. It was a recording. David and Emily. In a hotel room. She was sitting at the edge of the bed, crying. I don't want to hurt Jake, she said. David's voice, off camera, then don't tell him. He doesn't deserve this. He's good. He's too good. David, you're not doing anything wrong. He's the one who's never around. He left you empty. You're just filling the space. I can't do this. David, yes, you can. And when the divorce is final, we'll make it all worth it. She shook her head. No, this was a mistake. Then she looked into the camera and whispered, Jake, if you ever see this, I'm sorry. She got up and walked out of frame. I sat there for a long time. No tears, no rage, just stillness. Because in that moment, I realized something. She tried to stop it. Too late, too quietly. But she had tried. And that's the thing about pain. It doesn't need to be erased, just acknowledged. I took the phone home. Didn't show it to her. Didn't need to. I just placed it in a drawer, next to the ring box. Because we can't change what we did. But we can decide how we carry it. That night, I made dinner. We sat down at the table. Quiet. Then I looked across at her, and I said, let's try planting flowers again. She looked confused, then smiled. It was the first time in over a year I'd seen her really smile. Not out of relief, not out of guilt, but from something else. Hope. We dug new soil the next day. Together. Hands dirty, knees sore, hearts still mending. But for the first time in a long time, we weren't digging up the past. We were planting something for the future.